Hey there, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so excited because today we're going to talk about 90 Day Fiance UK, Season 2, Episode 1, I Love You Chicken. I'm finally here, guys. I got it. First episode down. It's going to be easy from here on out. I think this is going to get crazy, and thank you for recommending it to me. I'm really glad that I got episode 1 down. Can't wait to start on number 2. So hopefully I'll have that out later this week. But let's start with this one. So I'm just going to do this how I normally do and just kind of go couple by couple and discuss the, entire episode kind of thing. Because that's what works out for me. So we're going to go ahead and start with Louise and Jose. So first we get to meet Louise. She's 39. She posts body positivity photos on social media to help promote that there's beauty in everyone. So that's pretty cool. And she's also a mom. She lives in Gloucester with her son, who is 20. Now, there's a lot of English, British words and terms throughout here that I may get off or wrong, and I'm sorry about that. But, it happens. So her son is 20. His name is Jesse. And she had him when she was 18. And it's just always been the two of them. So, Jesse says he likes the relationship that he has with her. They seem to have like a good banter and like a lighthearted relationship from, the whole minute that I've seen so far. She says, as a single mom, your kids always come first. But, as in most cases with single parenting, she doesn't get a lot of time for herself. And she hasn't been on a date or done anything this entire time, apparently. And she's also considering herself an affectionate person. And, she was just at a real lonely place. And that's when she met Jose on social media. She was laughing, like talking about him, saying that the first thing she thinks of is his big fluff ball, meaning like his glorious hair. She says she like spammed the shit out of his pictures to tell him he's good looking and handsome. And, she was home alone drinking wine one night, and it was a Saturday, and he messaged her to do a video call. And after, glass of wine number 2, she agreed. And now they've been video calling for 11 months. And she says, people think she's crazy. And she's a little shocked herself that she's in a relationship with somebody from Colombia. Then, they show these sweet music videos. Turns out Jose is a musician and a rapper. She likes his music. She says, he even put her name in his last few songs. I Love You Chicken. Because, Chicken is her nickname. I almost was going to say, okay, he's better than Soulja Boy. But no, this is about as good as I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you, girl. Or whatever. And the Baby Girl Lisa song. Yikes. I hope you enjoyed my singing. So then she's dancing and singing I Love You Chicken in her living room. And she's like, people aren't going to realize what that means until they know who I am. Until they find out I'm chicken. She says, it wasn't love at first sight because she didn't know what his true intentions were. There's a lot of men on social media who will talk to women in certain ways, so that you will send them things like naughty photos. And she just wasn't sure if Jose was that kind of person. But she says she hasn't done that. She hasn't sent him nothing in that way. So she didn't expect for this relationship to happen. They're sitting on video call and she keeps asking him like, oh, how long have we been talking? He can't understand her. Turns out this man doesn't speak English. So they use a translator app, and they talk through text back and forth while video calling through the translator. And then he starts singing that stupid song again to her. And, she likes it. It makes her laugh. So good for them. She says he's kind and considerate and has good manners. And, he's supportive and he tries to make sure that she's okay. And, even though they're so far away, they're always on the phone. The longest time has been 16 hours straight. So I feel like this is a new trend that I was unaware of between Brandon and Mary. These guys, the next couple we're going to talk about, seems like just constant phone contact is the new thing. So we could thank the pandemic for that. I don't know why or where or when these people have all this time to video call. But, maybe I'm just jealous. I don't know. She even puts the phone on the table so they can have dinner together. And her grown-ass man of a son, well, he's 20. Her 20-year-old son gets to sit there and watch her pretend to feed this other man food on the phone. And not only is she pretending to feed him, he's making, pretend eating noises that you make with your children when they're play eating. And her son's face looked just like mine. That was too much. So, she's like, we do everything a normal couple would do, but just on the small screen. A small screen. She says that she knows that everyone is like, wow, this lady's dating someone on the other side of the world, spending all the time on the phone, and driving all her family mad. So, first of all, that's kind of projecting when you say you know what everyone else thinks. That's really what you think about yourself. So, she needs to look into that a little. And, I was watching Brandon and Mary before I got into this. So, this is where I'm trying to think, am I the weirdo for not doing this? I don't know if you guys know or I mentioned it, but I have a long distance relationship. And we definitely aren't this way. So, maybe I'll try it out for a day, let you guys know. See if I can get him to agree to that. Oh, man. So, her son later walks in and she asks him if he wants to say hi to, the shirtless Colombian rapper on video call. And he says no, and he walks right back out. The son and her, get an interview together, and he's like, Jose is always on the phone. She tells her child that, Jose is her family too. That's why he's on the phone all the time. She's like, if it was the other way around, she would support her son being on the phone all the time. And he's like, yeah, I'm never going to be in that situation. She's talking about how the distance is unbearable and she wants him over there to be together, so they can make a life right away. And apparently they've had 2 failed visas in the past. So, hopefully in 2 weeks she'll be rushing to Colombia to get married. And, hopefully they like each other because it's all or nothing for her at this point. Next, we see her son telling her this, relationship she has is weird and he's just not okay with it at all. She says in her interview that, a lot of people are skeptical about her relationship, but her son is the most concerned. It's like, well, obviously, lady, he lives with you. You're his mother. You're all he's ever had his whole life. And, this guy doesn't seem much older than your son. And he's like, Mom, he can't speak English. He can't get a job. She goes, he's practicing English. You heard him yesterday. He even said, I will make you tea coffee, honey. And she's like, it was really sweet. Her son is completely rolling his eyes. He says his mom dating someone so far away is crazy. It doesn't make sense. And, she's like, well, you're going to realize, we're a family or whatever she says. When I get back, I'll be married. the son wants her to realize that, he's not going to be like, "Oh, what's up, mate?" when he gets there. She tells him, like, to her that he's family. And Jesse's like, "To me, he isn't." So then he brings up, like, a good question. Like, are you staying at a hotel when you go over there? And of course not. She's going to stay at, one of his friends' apartments. But he says it's okay there and there's a pool. Her son's like, "So what? I thought you were staying at a hotel." She tells her son that Jose says they're going to be safe. He's going to protect her. Her son is like, "No, Mom, that's not how things work." Like, especially when you go somewhere to meet someone you never met. He tells us that his mom thinks that she knows this guy because they've been on the phone, but that doesn't mean you know someone. And that's very true. So, the kids are always so wise on these shows, and the parents just never listen. Back to their convo. She's like, "Well, it's his friend's apartment." And he's like, "Yeah, 2 people you've never met." She, tells us she thought Jesse would have reacted and took the news better than he did. But she can just tell he's not happy about it. He reminds her that she's going to a country really far away. And, she can't call anyone for help. She'll be on her own. And then, later we see Louise. She's meeting up with her mom, Linda. She says she knows that, her mom's really worried about her going to Colombia. And she's hoping that she can change her mind. Her mom's concerned, she doesn't know him. And she tells her mom that she knows that she really does love him just by looking at him. Mama is like, "You aren't a young girl anymore. You're a grown-ass woman with grown children. And you're going to go to Colombia and get married without any of your family there." And she's like, "Well, I can't really do anything about that. And it's going to be hard, but hopefully, Jose can come here because that's what Louise really wants." She knows that when he gets there, everyone's going to grill him. And Mom is like, "Yeah, I'm the first one in line to do that." And she's like, "What if they don't let him in?" And she tells her mom she's going to have to move to Colombia then. Her mom tells her she's not going to let her. She reminds Louise that he is younger than her. He has this glamorous lifestyle there. And he's not going to have that when he comes to the UK. She's like, "No, he won't have that. He's going to have to work at a supermarket." She says her mom is worried, he's going to try to, just come there and further his career. Then we get back to the mom saying, this is the real world and people have to earn a living. And if he wants to move to their country, he'll have to work and earn a wage and pay bills. That was, reminiscent of when people are trying to come here. They're going to work. I'm not going to be the only one working. So Louise tells us, "I just want to be loved. I wasn't expecting to be 39, divorced, ending up in an online relationship." Her mom doesn't want her to be disappointed at the reality versus dream world situation. And she wishes that she met someone the normal way. But, I'm sorry, Mom. It's not like that these days. People practically live online. They're spending 16 hours on the phone video chatting, watching each other go to the bathroom and things. It's a mess. So, be glad that you grew up dating normally. She understands where her mom is coming from, but she's a grown woman. She's going to go to Colombia. She's going to marry Jose no matter what. Then we take a trip over to Santa Marta, Colombia. And we find out his name is Jose Francisco Lopez Ardilla. Jose Francisco Lopez Ardilla. And he's 28. He's a rapper, an influencer. We get to see a little bit of him in his homemade booth. We find out music is his life. And he just wants the world to hear his music. And guess what we did? We got to hear it. I love you, chicken. That is more than enough for me. I don't have to hear nothing else. I'm good. So then he says that his style is important to him. And it sounds like he has pretty good English now when they're doing these interviews. So, good for him. He tells us his music videos have sexy girls and they make Louise jealous. And he laughs all goofy about it. And he's like, sexy girl. I don't know if he was imitating her or what. From there, we jump back over to Louise. And she's off to this lingerie shop to grab some special things for her trip to meet Jose. And she tells the shop owner she's going to meet her boyfriend and wanted to find something sexy yet comfortable. She tells him that she tells the lady she never met him before. It's this older lady is like, oh, it's going to be a one-off. And she says, hopefully not. And I just love the lady working there. She's adorable. So Louise tells us in an interview that big in person with Jose is going to be, different from video call. She can touch him and kiss him and do all the things. And, then she brings up that she has a few medical conditions. And one of the biggest ones is fibromyalgia. And she gets like sharp needle pains in the back of her legs. And then we skip back to her saying, she's worried he'll see her and think she's big, even though he knows that she's big. Seeing it in person is different. And all I'm thinking is she isn't even really big. She's not that big to me. And, I guess, I used to be really big. I'm probably half of the size that I was 2 years ago. So maybe big to me seems different, or I'm biased. But she looks fine to me. So then the real MVP shop lady comes up with some nice things for her to try. And she's excited because she does really want to look good for Jose. Then she brings up the sexy music videos and the ladies. And, that makes her worried that he's not going to be attracted to her. She comes out in the shop. The lady's like, wow, this color's wonderful on you. It's a lovely hot color. And she's talking her up big. She must earn a commission. Either way, Louise does look nice. I like the robe. It's definitely something I would wear. It's one of my favorite colors. And then she's talking again. Everyone's always questioning her about what she's going to do and why. So today she's going to meet up with her friend Ange to get some advice. And I don't know why, because she's not going to take it. She just is hoping one person will agree with her, I think. So, she tells her friend Ange that she has something to tell her. That she's mentioned before that she's been speaking to Jose. Ange is like, oh yeah, how old is he? And, he's 28. Then Ange gives her the look. Louise is like, I know, I'm not used to younger guys. And, she starts laughing and she's like, no, it's not funny. Then she calls him a Mr. Toy Boy, which I think is the same as a boy toy, just flip-floppied. So she tells her she's gonna get married, and Ange said, pardon? And she repeats herself, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna get married, but in Colombia. And her friend says, pardon? Again, and she looks shook. And she's just like, oh my God. She tells her, yeah, but if I don't try, I'm never gonna know. And she's like, you never met this guy. How do you already know it's going to work out? And of course, she doesn't know. She's following her heart. And Ange says, he obviously doesn't have a visa. So is this an opportunity for him to get a green card? And Louise says she's sure that's the way it's going to come across. But until she meets him, she's not going to know. The friend looks nervous. She's biting her lip. Everything. She's trying not to say what she really thinks. She's definitely holding back. And, then Louise is asking us, like, why does everyone always think it's about a visa? Or why do people always think the worst? And it's like, well, because we live in first world countries and a lot of people don't. And they want a better life with more opportunities. I'm not saying that it is better here, but that's the perception. So, yeah, people think that all the time. And it happens a lot. People get, like, remember Danielle and Mohammed? You see what happened? They were on TV. Imagine how many times stuff like that happens and they're not on TV. Anyway, back to the friend. She's asking about her safety. Is this guy going to kidnap her? Louise isn't worried about that. But the friend is like, well, you should be. Apparently, there's a lot of kidnapping that goes on. Or the UK people hear a lot about kidnapping because her son is also concerned. The friend doesn't understand how anyone can meet someone online and just, say after a few days they're going to get married. Then she brings up that they spoke about children. And she told him that she would want one and, she might have lied to him a little and said two. But she's going to tell him when she gets there that she just wants the one kid. And he asked her to get off birth control before she goes over there so they can just, get it in right away. Her friend is like, wow, that's a lot, She doesn't even know him. She knows it's a shock to people that she's going to have a baby with Jose. But people in love have babies. Her friend is like, well, don't you think that's a way for him to strengthen his visa chances? She doesn't think that. She thinks like he just really wants a baby and he loves her and he wants to spend his life with her. And the friend's just shook. She can't believe it. She says most of her friends and family are shocked. And, she hopes when she comes back married, she still has family and friends. So, I know you guys probably already know much more about these people. But, wow, that's a lot. I really think that it's not about the green card thing because he quite enjoys his career and his life over there. And, he's at the age where he probably wants kids. And she's at the age where she needs to do it now or never. So, I don't think that the motivation for a child would be the green card. I don't think, he doesn't give me scammer vibes. He gives me like child, I need a mommy vibes. Her son's growing up. She needs to replace that immature energy. Her son is very mature. So that's what I got for them, guys. Can't wait to talk about them some more. I'm going to go ahead and get that song out of my head in about 5 years, I think. So, yikes. Let me know. What song did you like better? I Love You Chicken or I'll Be There For You by Soulja Boy. I gotta know. I'm going to go with Soulja Boy. Next up, we see a lady. She's in a green polka dot dress, full makeup, complete with unicorn slippers, and she's out watering the plants. And all I could think of was, that looks like the dress that Katie wore last season when she got proposed to, I think, or at one point in the season. We find out that her name is Shane and she's 26 from Devon. She's a hairdresser, a makeup artist, and she's been doing hair for 8 years. And she describes where she lives as a teeny little surfing village. And, where she lives, she thinks it's perfect. We're seeing her walk an adorable little doggy. We find out she lives at home with her mom, and they love each other very much. Her mom is her rock. Then, mom starts saying she noticed that Shane had a feminine side when he was about 2. He liked to dance around in a camisole top, in her camisole tops, and she thought it was strange. Now, I think that means her bras. So, Shane says that they knew they were born in the wrong body since, they were 3. and identify as trans non-binary. They don't feel like 100% girl or boy, more like in the middle. You know, she has her tomboy days where she doesn't want to put on makeup and things. Don't we all? And a lot of her friends that she's had since childhood refer to her as he. That doesn't bother her. Pronouns don't really matter to her. As long as you're not calling her anything derogatory, then she doesn't care what you refer to her as. So I'm going to go with her and she or they because, you know, that's what I'm seeing. So she's talking about Mert's top. Apparently he sprayed it with a lot of his aftershave and she can't sleep without it. Then we see him, you know, she met him in Turkey. She went over there to be with her sister while she had surgery there, and she was in the hotel for a night, decided to download a dating app, and he messaged her. They messaged back and forth a lot. He decided to go and see her. Turns out he had to travel 320 kilometers, and it cost like 400 pounds for him to go see her. I have no idea what that means, but I'm guessing it's a lot. And, you know, they had some drinks. They were comfortable, and real quickly they were comfortable. And then yet we see another couple who watch each other sleep on video chat. She has like a little stand to hold her phone by the bed. She even wakes him up in the morning. But he does have a rule that she needs to mute it because her snoring bothers him. You know, he tells her like, why do you snore like a pig or something? Maybe she needs a CPAP because I like triple love my CPAP. Would recommend. Wonderful. So, you know, she just hopes he gets used to her snoring because if not, he's going to have to get earplugs. You know, no one's made her feel this way. They could easily spend 12 to 16 hours a day on the phone. So, then we see them do a video chat. And it was at this point that I realized his name was Mert and not Matt. I thought she was saying Matt the entire time. So I had to go back and change it. But his name is Mert. So she's telling us, you know, she loves his personality, his quirky ways, his caring side, his vulnerability. And she just can't believe they're like 2,000 kilometers away. And also this is the longest they've been apart. To her it feels like 3 years. We find out she's headed to Turkey in like 20 days. She's excited to see him. She feels like she's going to cry at the airport. And also she's learned to try to learn Turkish. I'm impressed. So, you know, she's never been a believer of love at first sight. She didn't think it would happen to her. But here she is now, you know, focusing on bringing Mert to the UK. She says LGBT rights aren't the same in Turkey. You know, the LGBTQ community faces a lot of prejudice there. And she just wants them to have a nice, happy, safe life together. Later, you know, she's doing her mom's hair for her. And she asks if she's excited for her to go this time. Her mom says yes. Shane's like, yeah, you get to have the house to yourself for 6 weeks. Then she asks her mom, you know, what's her opinion of Mert from like the first time she spoke to him until now. You know, the mom likes him. She thinks he's lovely. The one thing that she wanted for Shane in life was to be happy. You know, that's all she wanted in life. I'm thinking, well, doesn't she have a sister? I want you both to be happy equally. Her mom says that, you know, she does have an easier time understanding him now because it was a little hard at first. But he usually seems happy and, you know, he's politely cheeky. And then we go on a little adventure over to Turkey. You know, we meet Mert. He's 28. He's bubbly, cheeky, and fun. So, mom knows him well. He's a barber, so he also does hair. They could have a lovely hair shop business. He says that he is LGBT, bisexual, and his girlfriend is also. He says before Shane, he was a fast mover. There was even a time he had 4 partners in one day. But it became too much, always calling people F buddies. And he just realized he needed just one partner. He met Shane. They spent 5 days together. He likes her eyes, mouth, hands, and also because she's chunky. He says they plan to live in England and, he just knows he's safe with her. Back over to Shane. She's meeting up with her bestie, Grace, for a pint and a ketchup. And they've been friends for 15 years. And she's just always had her best interests at heart. That being said, they don't always agree on what's best for Shane. She doesn't not like Mert, but she calls the red flags that she sees. So Shane tells her friend she's just counting down the days to go see her man. The friend, she likes him, but she has worries. She doesn't think, he's going to cope well in the UK. Apparently, when Shane is in Turkey, she's very much like, yes, sir, no, sir. And in the UK, she would be more likely to tell him to F off. She points out that, if Mert doesn't like something, Shane just apologizes right away. And she's never really done that for anybody. And, she just says she's just trying to please him and not escalate things. Apparently in Turkey, he tells her she needs to listen and respect him. And she doesn't like that. That does seem pushy. She just thinks it's a culture thing. The men in Turkey are king, and he tells her that. And she's like, well, what about me? I'm not a peasant. And he's like, you can be queen, but I'm still king. So he's always a step above her. She hopes that, when he comes to England, he might chill out a little. She doesn't expect that to happen overnight, but, maybe over time. She says that Mert's mom is very religious, and she's nervous because none of his family knows that Shane was born a boy. Nobody knows how they're going to react if they do know. And she's worried because same-sex marriage isn't accepted, or anything other than straight marriage isn't accepted over there. And they just aren't so sure that it'll be safe there if people find out. When it comes to his parents, he says they're going to cross that bridge when they get there. And her friend is just really concerned at what will happen if to her friend if she's outed while she's there. Will she be hurt? Will she end up in prison? What's going to happen? And then they kind of end that there. Next time we see her, she's getting ready to go to Turkey. She's nervous about what to wear because his family's so religious and conservative, and that's just not her. So she's not used to covering up, but she wants to be respectful of his culture and beliefs. So she's going through her clothes. She shows us a dress that he had gotten her to wear, and they clash a little on how she should wear it because she likes to wear it like off shoulder, and he likes it with the shoulders all the way up. He's not a fan of the bra strap showing, or even worse if there's no bra and you can just see through it. And all I could think was like, either way you wear it, that dress is not flattering at all. Like, it did not look good for any second that it was on her. She needs to throw it away. So then she packs like a shawl thing. She says it came in handy last time, and in case Mert wants to take her to the mosque or something, she'll have it to cover her hair. She's like, I've only worn this like 2 hours max, and, it's worth it. 2 hours is worth it to show respect. She goes ahead and packs his shirt so he can wear it and like refresh the smell and respray it. And then she tells us, only him and his 2 sisters know that she was born a boy. She is really terrified the secret's going to get out to the others while she's there. And then we get to go back in time a little bit, 24 hours ago in Turkey. He is meeting up with his sister, Emel, and he says they're very close. He trusts her feelings about him and Shane. He says that only her and her sister Arjun know about Shane's sexual orientation because everyone else thinks that she is a woman. He tells his sister, if he accepts her for who she is, everyone else should. The sister's like, of course they respect Shane, just as they do other trans people. When they first found out, neither of the sisters were surprised. They knew people in college like her. And they have no choice but to respect her. He says that he hopes that one day his family can know the truth. He wants them all to respect his life. He respects them and their choices. And, they're going to need to respect him because he's only getting married the one time. He likes his country, but they're both LGBT. And, they just can't get married there. He says to his sister, they plan on being together till death do they part. And, that's where we leave them this episode. It was a very nice introduction. They both seem cute. I think they'll have a lot of fun together, but also be equally as explosive. So I'm excited to see more of them. They're very cute. Okay, on to our last couple of this episode. If you're still sticking around, please thumbs up and subscribe. I would appreciate it. So next up, we got Michael. He is 36. He lives in Clacton-on-the-Sea. And it's a seaside town. It's nice in summer. He says he's, a mobile sludge technician. But that translates to he deals with shit every day. So, he probably empties out porta potties and things. If you ever seen Ready to Rumble, it would be like that. So he's working on his little car and he's talking about it, and apparently it's a chick magnet. And I'm just thinking wow, how very Grease Lightning of you. I do love his tattoos though. So he says he was a busy boy in the past. He's dated a lot of women, where he lives. His phone is like the Yellow Pages. He has been in love, but those relationships didn't work out. So he wanted to look internationally because, he went through all his options where he lives. Let's be real. He just has bad luck there. And then he met Mercy from Kenya, and he just loves her to bits. She's beautiful, caring, hardworking, and she's got a nice booty. This was another name. I thought her name was Marcy, but it's Mercy, I'm pretty sure. We'll see. If I mess up the pronunciation here and there, my bad. But it sounds like Marcy to me. But it's spelled Mercy. Anyway, when he first started talking to her, he thought that she might be a scammer or a man. You just hear about that all the time. We're looking at you, Tyree. So, he did the right thing. He video called her to make sure. And, they met 18 months ago online. He has this plan for them to get married in Kenya. And then she can come stay with him a couple years. They can buy a house and start a life together. And so at this point, I'm wondering, in the UK, if you marry a citizen of the country, do you just, automatically get to move there because you're married? This is, the second couple out of 3 that, wants to go to the other person's country to get married and then bring them back. I'm just curious if it's, more lax if you're married. So he's going to go ahead and meet up with his friends. They're going to have a chat and some curry. And he feels like they're dubious about his relationship with Mercy. And he sits down with his friends Nick and James. And, they're kind of asking him the plan, seeing, if they plan to live in the UK. And he tells them that they do. When Nick heard that, he met someone online. He thought about all the scammers and the horror stories that you hear about from meeting people online. At the dinner, the other friend is like, so you're sure she isn't after you for money or just to like move here? And he's like, I don't got any money. I'm broke. Broke. So he knows they have their doubts, but they don't know her like he does. And they should give her the benefit of the doubt. And he tells his friends, next step, we're getting married. I couldn't really make out exactly what the friend said, but we get an interview where he says, it pisses him off when people doubt their relationship. They don't know what they're talking about. And, they're like, well, what if it doesn't work out? And he's like, well, this is our new life together. And just starts eating his curry. He gives no F's what these guys have to say. Are they even friends? Or like, did TLC have to hire these guys to be his friends for like filming purposes? Maybe. So later, Michael and Mercy are having a video chat. And, he tells us again, they've been talking for 18 months, but now we find out they've only been like a couple for a year of that. And he does think she's excited to go to England with him and start a family. On the video call, they're laughing. She's teasing him for not noticing her new nose ring. And that's when we find out, he's a dad and he has a son, Kennedy, who is 10. They go to have some fish and chips. So far, they are just adorable. He's even in the interview with his dad, and apparently they're best buddies. So there's no better feeling than when your kid tells you that you're their best friend. I tell my kid every day, you're my best friend. And he's like, same as me, so is me. Whatever he says. But it's the best feeling. And the son says he has the best dad in the world. His dad, does everything and he tries really hard. And, they're eating and he's asking his dad what kind of food, Mercy might like. He's like, oh, she likes chips. And he's just happy his dad found someone he loves. And he's like, well, Dad, what kind of food would she cook for us? And he's like, rice and stew and ugali, which apparently is a donut bun thing with no flavor. And the boy, he just knows that she brings love to his dad and she makes him smile. At this point, then we make it over to Kenya. We find out she's 28. She lives in a one-room flat. She shares a bed with her sister. We see her room. They definitely have a lot of shoes. I don't think I have that many shoes in my entire house. So, she says that she was born in a village in a small town. And when they moved to Nairobi, everything changed. She loves the city. There's freedom. She can do and get what she wants. She's, a social butterfly. So she's out every day with her girls partying. And she's like, Michael is my boyfriend right now. She's showing us, gifts he got her for Valentine's 2022. It was a flower and a card. She says she was on a dating site bored, doing nothing, and she wanted someone to entertain her. She called herself Kai on the app. And then she shows us a card written to Kai, her fake name. And I don't know that card was from Michael or some other poor sap on the internet. But she got a card. She said, she wrote a message. She used to send that message to 1 million people. Click and send, click and send, click and send, repeat. And one night she changed her location to the UK. And she started talking to Michael that night. She shows us a chain and a t-shirt and a bracelet that he's gotten her. And she says, he's very generous. He treats her like the queen that she is. And she wants to move to the UK and see what life holds for them there. Now, they get on video call and he's like saying like, okay, I'll see you soon and I love you. And she just keeps saying like, bye-bye. Like she never says I love you or nothing. And my first thoughts are like, okay, he likes her more than she likes him. Like, I think he is all in this and she just sees like an opportunity, or like maybe this could be fun, or I'm bored, I need entertainment. Because he talks about her like, we're going to get married and spend our lives together and it's going to be great. And she's like, yeah, he's my boyfriend right now. So later we see Michael again, and I just want to go and visit and bring my kids where he lives because it looks so fun. It looks so fun. But, he's not having fun. He's in the car. He's calling her. He's out doing like the UK version of DoorDash or something, for extra money. He's trying to save up for this wedding. The bills are stacking up between the flights and accommodations, and it's just growing by the day. His, day job is not going to cut it, so he's delivering food to pay for the wedding. Meanwhile, in Kenya, and I can just feel it. I can feel it in my bones that this girl does not work or something. Like, she's not contributing to this. I already know. I'm betting $5. So we go back to Kenya, and she's meeting up with her friends for lunch. She's telling us, they're planning to get married, but there's a few issues, of course, about money. And, she's going to marry this guy, but she's just now showing his picture to her friends. Probably the same friends she goes out with partying and drinking with every night. Those friends. But she's never shown them a picture. I'm just feeling like something is way off with her. And I know that you guys already know because I'm sure you've all seen every episode. And it's going to be funny to hear my reaction, I am sure. Because I just don't know what's coming. But there is something off with her. I'm putting my money on that. So, her friends think that he looks like a bad boy. They're like, oh, when you met him, did he think you were real or did he question you? And she's like, well, I had a fake name on there, but the real pictures. She says, getting someone to marry her through a dating app is something she never imagined, and it's just crazy. So I'm wondering if her and her friends have like a bingo sheet where they have like, get a man to marry you on a dating app in one square, and then like, get a man to send you a teddy bear in another square, and then whoever fills up the blackout gets like $1,000. Maybe. Sounds like it. So, her friends are like, so you're just going to drop everything and build a life there? And she's like, well, if we click, we click. If we don't, bye-bye. And that is why this woman is playing games. This just reeks of immaturity and, like, dare I say, a little entitlement in there. Then we skip back over to Michael. He's meeting up with his friends who's, like, asking him to have a serious chat. And he's like, well, what happened? Are you okay? He starts talking about when they all went for curry, and he was, like, talking about Mercy, and that made him think. So he went and did some research. And he shows him a website about how, like, Mercy is a swindler. He says, oh, that's her, says she's swindling in question form. And his friend is like, well, according to this, yeah. Like, oh, she's swindling? They just stare at each other. The music builds up. And that's that. So I'm going to have to wait to see. I knew something was off with her. And, I'm excited to see the next episode. I have noticed, like, so far this show has, like, a shorter to the point segments. They go back and forth a lot, and I appreciate that. It's more to the point content instead of, like, a drawn out long 10-minute story about nothing, It kind of cuts out some of that fluff they usually have. I liked the way that they would go back and forth between, like, Shane in England and Turkey instead of, we get, like, a whole episode of just the one person, and then the next episode, when the person's going to the country, then we meet that person. I kind of like it this way because you get to know them both together. So I am excited to watch some more. I liked that they just focused on the 3 couples this episode. because it is all introductory. And, maybe next episode we'll get a new couple, that kind of thing. So yeah, I really liked it. I like how it's edited. I think this is going to be a lot crazier than The Last Resort. So thank you for recommending me to start this first. I appreciate it. I'm excited. I think that I'm going to try to get at least one a week in of this show. And then of course, the before the 90 days and the other way. So hopefully I can get like 3 of these out a week, maybe more. If I can do more of this, I will, because I know I'm behind. My life's gonna get a little more structured in a couple weeks when my kids go back to school, so I'm excited for that. Also, that's the end of the episode about 90 Day UK, but my twins finally got into this therapy. So for the first time ever, I'm going to have 2 solid hours every Friday where I don't have any kids. That hasn't happened to me in about 5 years. So I'm pretty excited. Don't know what I'm going to do with myself yet. And it's a great step for them, getting like acclimated and learning to do basic functions that some of us take for granted. So I'm excited for that. Thank you guys for sticking around. Don't forget to subscribe. And let me know what you thought about this. I'm excited to continue. So have a good night. Don't forget to take deep breaths and go for a walk or do something relaxing maybe. I don't know. But I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.